Hey, let's cook. Today we're making Swedish meatballs. Gonna have mashed potatoes with it. Gonna have some roasted Brussels sprouts. Oh, and I almost forgot cranberries, because I don't have any lingonberries, but I do have cranberries because it's the upper Midwest and we grow them in bogs in Wisconsin. Let me get my cranberries out. What I do is I have a bag of these in the freezer, and I'll show you what we're going to do with those later. So now I have a little bit over a pound of ground beef. I'm going to plop that into a mixing bowl. Don't quite have the field of view on this camera that we need to show everything, but I'll show you the important stuff. And this is ground pork, and this pork comes from a breed of pig called Tamworth. Now, I know probably at least a few of you have watched Downton Abbey, and you might remember that they started growing pigs on Downton Abbey. Well, these are the kinds of pigs that they were growing. They're called Tamworth hogs, and my family raised them, and it's kind of my preferred pig if I can get it. And I had these two, I had two pigs raised from piglet up to full-size hogs by a 4-H kid. So I've got a freezer full of meat, and you know, there's a lot of pork on a pig that doesn't end up in a pork chop. So you got a lot of potential for ground meat. So see, I've got those two meats in there. I've got the potatoes boiling on the stove back here. We'll just have to keep an eye on those. I did some of this prep work ahead of time. So now I've got 2 egg yolks I'm going to add. And let's see. Oh, I know, I forgot. I need to add some bread to that. And it doesn't have to be fancy bread. I have some old onion buns that aren't going to get eaten if I don't use them. So I'm going to take these onion buns and kind of tear them up here and put them in there. Like so. And that's the eggs, and the onion bun acts as like a binder to keep everything together, more or less. And we'll have to mix this up eventually, but we got some more stuff to add. And who doesn't like the flavor of onion bun? I sure do. It's like my favorite. Like if you have a hamburger, seriously, you owe it to yourself someday to try out an onion bun. They're just delicious. But you know, you can use any kind of bread. I just happen to have some of this stuff, and I know they're not going to get eaten in time, so I'm going to make them into some meatballs. This is enough with all that. It's like a pound of pork and a little over a pound of beef. I usually like about a 50-50 mixture. But with that much, this is going to be way too many meatballs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook the meatballs, take half of them, freeze them, and then put them in a food saver and freeze them the rest of the way. The reason I freeze them before I put them in the food saver is they'll hold their shape. If I just put them in the food saver, that vacuum puts enough pressure on it to deform them. Let me show you what else you can save in a food saver. If you do it that way, these are morel mushrooms that I slice them in half and then wash them really well, and put them on a plate and freeze them, and then you put them in the food saver, and they're good, and they hold their shape, so you don't get squashed up looking mushrooms. The shape and the texture is kind of one of the neat things about morels, and it'd be a shame to wreck that. Let's see. Now I think I need to add, let's see. I'm going to add a little ground allspice, not too much. With allspice, by the way, if you're just joining, I'm making Swedish meatballs. So far there's a pound of pork, a pound of beef, a couple of, and basically 2 slices of stale bread, but they're onion buns, and 2 egg yolks in there. Now I'm going to add some allspice, and the key with these is subtlety. So I'm adding about 1/4 teaspoon of this. You don't hit people over the head with these flavors. Just let them be there, but have them be subtle. And about 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Same amount basically. My potatoes are boiling back there. And now I'll add some ground black pepper. I'm going to add a whole teaspoon of that. I like that. Nothing wrong with that. I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. And now we're going to add some milk. Now, when I see a recipe that calls for milk, because we don't drink anything but skim milk in the house, if you try to make, or at least when I try to make things, especially baked goods with skim milk, when it's calling for milk, for whatever reason, it doesn't work out. So anytime I make anything into a recipe that calls for milk, I use whole milk. And I'm going to use 1/4 cup of this or so. 1/4 cup of milk. And that's really all there is to it for the meatballs. Forgot, earlier I sauteed some onions and some finely diced onion. Sauteed that in a little butter and put those in there. Like so. And now I get to do something gross. I am going to use my hands to mash this up. And I'm not going to touch anything else in the kitchen until that's done, so I better take a drink of water. I'm thirsty. Okay, so mixing this up. You probably don't even want to see this, it's kind of gross. Ugh. But the next part will be fun. So what's going on today, guys? Anything exciting, fun? Hope your day's going well. Mine's pretty good. Played a nerd game earlier. Went on a walk with my wife tonight with the kids. I'm going to watch Anne with an E. It's a show you can see on Netflix. It's very well done, and I have 3 girls, so it's kind of appropriate for them. They love the show. Other than that, probably, I was thinking about heading to the beach because it's hot out, but I don't know. I kind of want to hole up in my house for a little bit. You ever get those days like on a Sunday where you're like, yeah, I could go out, but I'm not gonna. It's one of those days for me. Kind of need to recharge for my week. Paul K says, lazy day, raining in Minnesota. Sorry to hear that. It rained here like yesterday and the day before, I think. So, that's what I know. I wonder if this is actually, is this on the, I think this should be on the regular AverageIowaGuy channel. Is this showing up on my LiveStreams channel? Wow, I'm not supposed to be able to do that. I don't think. I think I'm supposed to have 1,000 subscribers. Maybe they just changed that. LiveStreams channel. Wow. So in the last little bit here, YouTube must have changed it, because I was supposed to, in order to live stream like this, I was supposed to have 1,000 subscribers, but I don't. I have like 111 or something. So that means that the bulk of the people on the other channel won't see this because they didn't subscribe. So it's a bonus for you, being a loyal subscriber. Wow, I'm surprised that must have literally just happened. Either that or it's a bug and I'll get in trouble or something for bug exploits. Yeah, I got hot during the walk. That's what made me think of the beach. It's a little warm out. You know, it's been weird. It's been a warm summer. Like hotter than it has been. Let's see. All right, well, these are pretty well mixed up. I'm going to clean my hands off here before touching anything. It's bad news, bad news. And I'm going to readjust something here. I'm going to do a pop out. I enjoy your cooking videos. I've been wanting to try your deep dish pizza and bacon recipes. Well, they're both good. The one I would start with is the deep dish pizza, because for the bacon you would have to get a pork belly, and that can be a pain in the ass unless you're a farmer or no one, or raise your own pigs or something. Or your other alternative is if you had a butcher shop that will sell you whole pork bellies, but most of the time they won't. At least the ones that I've tried before, they wouldn't sell me a whole pork belly. That's why I started raising my own pigs again. There is a place that will ship you pork bellies. It's called Heritage Farms Foods or something like that. But they're really, really expensive. Let me switch over to my other channel here. See what's doing here. Huh. It says I'm not online. Maybe I'll have to close out of here and try again. Oh, there it is. No, it's not. Okay, I'll close out and we'll try again. Sorry for the delay here, but I'm going to let that stuff rest for a second anyway. Yeah, I'm live. Why isn't it showing up on here? Huh. Oh well. So that's the bug. I think I bugged into being able to do this today. I'll take it. I'll take it. My phone, I must not have changed the setting to put it over. So now I have a pan here, and in that pan I'm going to melt some more butter. I buy like butter in bulk. One of these days I'll show you how to make butter. Homemade butter is way better. The next best option is this. I'll see. I don't even know if you can buy it where you live, but I can get it. It comes like rolled, like a big huge log of butter. And I never saw this stuff before, and I lived in like Amish country, or at least there were a lot of Amish around. It's like Amish country roll butter. You can buy it in northern Michigan. Don't know if you can get that or not, but any old butter will work. Okay, now do I want to make these onto a cookie sheet? And then, yeah, I'm going to make them onto a cookie sheet and fry them up in batches. So we're not looking for huge meatballs here. I'm gonna put the camera down so we can see the process a little better. You won't see my face anymore, but that's no big loss. Alright, so they're supposed to be a little bit smaller. Swedish meatballs aren't like huge, so like about an ounce or so, and then I just take them and kind of roll them up like so. You want them to be a little bit smaller than a golf ball. It's usually how I would say. At least that's how I want them. I mean, maybe you want like these huge meatballs or whatever, but I like them this way better. Swedish meatballs. So, what questions do you have? any topics you want to talk about, or I could tell you a story while I'm rolling these, otherwise it would be pretty boring. Story is good. Okay, well, here goes. So, okay, this one's funny. This is from when I was a kid, and I have a memory that dates back like unusually far for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, but I can remember pretty much everything from the age of about 2 on. You know, I mean, I may have forgotten minor stuff, but certainly I remember major stuff, and this was pretty major. So, we moved down to Temple, Texas, I think, when I was maybe 3, and we would have moved in the summer. So yeah, I was about 3 and a half, I guess, and at that time, you know, it would have been kind of late 70s. There were all these like horror movies involving like natural disasters, like, you know, earthquake 76 or whatever, you know, some natural disaster. And then there were movies about like swarms, so like Piranha was a movie back then, and all kinds of other stuff. And of course, right around that time, there was this big push in the news, like it was a meme basically, about killer bees, and killer bees in Texas, or killer bees wherever, and they called them Africanized honeybees. And I can't tell you how that would not fly today, because like if the news said that today, they'd be like, what? Just because they're from Africa, they're like more aggressive and kill people and stuff. So anyway, these were Africanized killer bees, and basically these big swarms of bees would come and they would just sting the shit out of people, and people would die. And I think it was probably more that they weren't dying from the stings. It was probably just a few people that were allergic to bee stings, and they got stung like a whole shitload of times and they died from that. Not like the bee stings you and injects a poison that like will kill your ass. So, you know, but there were, you know, a few people dying from it, as I remember. Obviously I haven't looked it up, so I can't give you numbers or whatever. So this is the climate we're in. You've got movies about piranhas and fucking big snakes and tornadoes and earthquakes and meteors hitting the earth and all this shit. Well, in this climate of killer bees and all these natural disasters, and killer bees had just hit Texas, like just hit it. And I remember, because I was a little bit afraid to go outside because of the killer bees, but my mom's like, shut up, get out there and play, and all this, you know, no goddamn killer bees are coming in my yard or I'll fuck them up. You know, she was like, she was just not having it. So we go out and we got this big backyard, and I had like a tree house in the back of the yard, and used to go up in that tree house and like sit up there all day, and my mom would like give me like Tang and some raisins and like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich like midway through the day or whatever. Anyway, so we're hanging out, and my mom tells my sister to go out and rake leaves or something. So she goes out and rakes leaves, and pretty soon it's like late afternoon, and we're like, well, it's getting hot as hell. So we didn't have air conditioning in the house, but it was going to be cooler in there because it was shady. So we like go in the house, and then like all of a sudden, like out of the middle of nowhere, it was 4 in the afternoon, all of a sudden it was midnight, like pitch black. And we're like, what the fuck? well, I wasn't. I didn't know, but that's the sentiment. And all of a sudden, like, it's black, and there's this loud buzzing sound, really super loud buzzing sound. And like, I look out the window, out the back porch, because we have a screen door, and I look out there, and the sky is just black, and there's, I mean, so many bees, you couldn't even imagine it, like buzzing around and trying to get in the house. And I was like, oh noes. So I went and got my mom, and she's looking out there, and she doesn't care one shit about the bees. What she cares about is like somehow like enough of a path cleared so that in the middle of the yard, and it's what was called one of these acres that's narrow, like halfway back through that acre on the ground, she spotted that rake. And she says to my sister, I told you to put that rake away, god damn it, blah, blah, blah. Get your ass out there and pick up that rake and put it in the shed. And then this is like during a killer bee swarm. So my sister's like protesting. So finally my mom like throws her out there and locks her out there. So she ran out and got the rake and put it away and came back inside, and she didn't get stung once. So that's the story of killer bees and the rake. Trying to think of another one I can tell you. Oh, from around that time. Let's see. So there were killer bees. Let's see. Okay, so in Temple, Texas back then, apparently they didn't have a dog catcher, and people didn't believe in like spaying their pets or whatever. So there were all kinds of fucking stray dogs and cats like running around, like just constantly, just all over the place. Like you'd be walking down your street and there'd be like 10 dogs hanging out on the corner or whatever, like little gopniks doing squats and stuff there. Anyway, so they had a stray dog and cat problem because I don't think they had a dog catcher. Well, we had a cat, a female cat that wasn't spayed, of course, because god damn it, I'm not spending $25 to get my cat fixed. That was my mom's thing. And so apparently the cat like goes into heat, and it's like the middle of the summer, and of course you have to have the windows open. And my mom had one of these wood privacy fences that's like 6 feet tall put in. Well, actually she put it in. She's like, I'm sick of these fucking neighbors looking in my house. Anyway, she puts this big privacy fence up, and then, you know, so you have the boards, and then you have to have like a frame for it. Well, the top of the frame is wide enough that a cat can sit up there. So we've got this cat in the house that's all like in heat and stuff, and it's like the middle of the night, and it's like 2 nights in a row these tomcats show up and sit on that fence, and they're like meow, and like I've always recognized that sound, and I hear it every single time I hear country music, because it sounds like the slide guitar in there. I always hear like that. And so finally it was like 2 nights into this, and my mom's like, god damn it. And she gets out of bed, and I hear the screen door open, and she takes a shoe and throws it at the fence and scatters all these cats. They're like that, you know. And she's like, stay the hell out of my yard, god damn it. And so then she comes back inside, and then they're back at it like an hour later. But that's cats and country music. That's why I always think of tomcats meowing when I hear the slide guitar in country. And I don't listen to country much. I'll listen to some Johnny Cash, some Waylon Jennings, maybe some Willie Nelson, some Chet Atkins, some Jerry Reed. I'm trying to think, is there anybody else I like? I like the guy, I like Mickey Gilley. let's see, who else do I like? I like the one guy, Buck Owens, Act Naturally. I like that song. But other than that, I don't really listen to much country. I have to play a lot of country. I play drums, so I end up, a big significant chunk of the gigs I get are for country. Because people will actually pay to go see that, which I don't know why you would, but people like it and they'll pay to see it. Wow, that's going to be at least 3 meals worth of meatballs, I'm thinking. After I finish these, I will wash up, and then I have to check. For some reason the chat bubble isn't popping out like it should. I think there must be a setting that I've got. There's like 2 sides of YouTube live streaming. One is gaming and the other is I don't know what. And I may have my browser set to the gaming, and I may be actually broadcasting in the live streaming one. So that's meatballs, and the next thing we have to do is brown them in some butter, and then I'm going to put them back on the cookie sheet and bake them in the oven for a bit. I like to make sure they're cooked all the way through. Actually, yeah, I'll take the ones that I'm going to freeze and do it that way, and the other ones I'm going to saute in their Swedish meatball gravy. So I'll show you how to make that, because you can't have Swedish meatballs without the gravy. Oh, the other thing I need to do is get ready for my Brussels sprouts. So I'm going to turn the oven on to 375-ish, and while I am browning these meatballs, I will show you a trick that will make even you like Brussels sprouts. Let's look here. Come up again. There we are. Now we can see. Let's see. YouTube. Refresh here. See. For some reason my chat isn't coming up, so unless I'm looking at the screen, it'll pop up on my phone, but it won't for some reason pop up here. Something's screwy. I'm gonna reboot that thing. Alright, so let's get this going. Let's get this show on the road here. I think my potatoes are done too. I'm gonna test them with a fork. Now these potatoes, you're gonna love this. Yeah, these are done. These potatoes, this is the way to make potatoes, I'm telling you. It's a secret recipe. My kids are dying to find out the recipe, but they'll have to find it out. They're watching this later. And I'm not gonna tell them it's here, so maybe someday they'll find it and it'll be like a blast from the past. Woo, hot. Thought the thing had handles on it. Alright, we will drain these potatoes. Real quick. Yeah, I'll show you the potatoes before I do the Brussels sprouts. That makes sense from a timing perspective. All Now the key with potatoes is you don't want them too watery. So boiled potatoes go into the mixing bowl, and I'm going to put some meatballs in here and get them started. Alright, so that's half of them. Let those cook a bit, and we'll turn them. Okay. Let me see if I can pop the chat out again here. Things being pesky. I'm not supposed to be able to do this. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that this is a glitch that I'm even able to do this. Oh, here it is. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's what the problem was. Alright, so now I see it. Okay. Let's see, what town did I grow up in? That's complicated. I didn't really grow up in a town. I grew up in the country. But obviously we did most of our business in a town. And I will just tell you that the town that I grew up in had one of these. So, or the town I graduated high school from. I lived all over the place. We're managing our meatballs here. Heat's probably a little high. I'm going to turn on the vent here. Alright, so let's make these secret potatoes. I'll show you. Now, here we are. Philadelphia cream cheese. So this is, I don't know, that much potatoes, like a couple pounds or something like that. And we've got some Philadelphia cream cheese. And we're going to do this. Pow. Right in there, okay? Boom. Now we're going to do this. Gotta find something else here. There it is. Sour cream. I'm going to take about half of this. About half of that. That's so probably 4 ounces of sour cream goes in there. Boom. And none of this is exact. You can see I don't really cook to recipes so much. Unless I'm baking. And baking I'm very, very precise, but with regular cooking you just don't sweat so much. You don't have to be perfect. Now, let's see, what else do I want to add to that? Oh, I know, I forgot. So there's a couple other ingredients. I will get them. Here we go. Onion salt, granulated garlic. Don't go too crazy with either of these ingredients. I'd say maybe a teaspoon of the onion salt, and then people can adjust the saltiness of their own potatoes later. About a teaspoon-ish. But I like that flavor that it adds. And then we'll add some granulated garlic, like so. About a little less than a teaspoon. That's a flavor I'm trying to get my kids used to. Now we'll take this. Got a mixer and whisk attachment, and we're gonna hit this sucker with this. And get the stupid thing on there. There it is. Alright. So, we'll just let that whisk in a bit there. The cream cheese will melt, and that'll be probably most of the liquid. I may end up having to add like a little bit of milk to it, I'm not sure. Meatballs are cooking. Cooking along, just stir them, move them around every once in a while. You're just looking to kind of brown them evenly if you can. We'll let those keep browning. And actually, I'm gonna show you these potatoes real quick. So it's like almost the right consistency here. In Swedish, those meatballs are called köttbullar. Hope they turn out good and you won't break your teeth like I did. Well, I have some secrets. So I'm just going to add just a little bit of milk to these, not much at all, because that's just about the right consistency. You don't want them too runny, and I don't like them too stiff either. Now I'll just whip them up real good here. Finish that the rest of the way. And I've got a baking dish here. I'm just going to taste them and see if they need a little salt or anything. Nope, they're good. Subtlety, subtlety. Don't kill people with your food. Don't beat them over the head with the flavors. You don't have to do that. The food is good on its own. Okay. Now this is another secret to these potatoes, and that's that I bake them a little bit. So it's almost like a twice baked potato, only not. So put this in here. That's going to be a good batch. I can already tell. Okay. Hey Mesmerize, I'm live streaming to the channel from my phone. I'm pretty sure this is a bug because you're not supposed to be able to do this without 1,000 subscribers. So I have a little water. Now I'm going to show you a little tricky poo. Right? So these are going to get baked, and basically all I do is I just kind of rewarm them in the oven when it's time to eat. My kids are at the mall right now. I don't know what the hell they're doing. I think it's time for school supplies or whatever. But I got to show you another little trick here. If you saw on the regular channel my burger thing, one of the big secrets with all of this stuff, yes, it has to taste good, but it should also look sexy. So, I'm going to show you. Where is that stuff? Okay, I got some paprika here. Okay, so you also want it to look sexy. So I've got some paprika, and I'm going to show you. Right? Can you see that? So I just take the fork and kind of make a little swirl in there, like so. Makes it look all exotic, like that. See? Now, we take some of this paprika, and if this doesn't end up looking like something your grandma would make, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, here we are. Here's some paprika, and I'm just going to sprinkle a little of this over the top of it. Not too much. All we're looking for is just a little coloring. And I'll hold it up so you can see it a little better here. Like that. Let's see, is that too bright? There. See, just a little bit of color. And that's it. That's mashed potatoes. Now they're just going to bake at 350, I don't know, for half an hour or so. They end up tasting like twice baked potatoes though. Alright, well this first batch of meatballs, I'm going to say is done. I'm going to take those and set them on a plate, and those are the ones we'll actually eat tonight. Then we'll fry up the rest. And while we're doing that, I think I'm going to make cranberries. Reason being, I don't have any lingonberries. And the only kind of lingonberries I could get up here, if I could get them, would be canned. And I don't like the way they taste. I like other lingonberries. It's like canned cranberries are bullshit. Like, if you eat canned cranberries, I'm going to show you how to make cranberries. And if you don't like them better this way, I'll eat my hat. All right. Now we'll put our next batch in there. I should say that we're on kind of medium-low heat here. I'm not looking for blackened meatballs. I just kind of want them browned a little bit. I'll show you. See, about like that. And you don't want to cook them until they're dead. You want to cook them until they're close to dead. And I'll put some more of these in there, and we'll brown these up. Because the rest of the cooking on there, for the ones that I eat tonight, is going to be done in the sauce. And for the ones that I'm going to freeze, I'll put these in the oven for 20 minutes and bake them till they're cooked through, then freeze them, then put them in the food saver, like I talked about earlier. Okay, now you and me, we're going to have a chat here. Let's see. Mr. Mesmerize says, in German they are called Frikadellen. Though in Berlin, for example, they call them Buletten. Here where I live, they're called Fleischkitzel, meaning literally meat cakes. Lots of names for the same. I use smoked paprika. It's very good. I don't have any, but if I had it, I would use it. Okay, now we're going to have a chat. We're going to have a heart-to-heart. All right. Don't eat canned cranberries. Not once, not ever. Okay? Never, ever eat canned cranberries. Get the cranberries that come in the bag. Okay? And these are from Michigan. I'm not sure where they're made in Michigan. Maybe it'll say on here. Sheboygan. So these are from Sheboygan. All right. They're not available year-round, but we buy enormous amounts of these and then just freeze them and then have them throughout the year. We're a cranberry family. Okay. Now, here's why you should never eat canned cranberries. And if you eat canned cranberries without trying this, you're a heathen. So, we're going to take this package. Mesmerize says cranberries are expensive as fuck here. All are made in the USA and imported. Yeah, we grow them in bogs in the northern part of the country. Probably lingonberries are easier for you to get though, because I can't get those unless they're canned. So I don't even bother. Cranberries the American way. Okay, so I take a whole package and I'm dumping that into a saucepan, right? See? Cranberries, right? Right. And now, I'm going to take a cup of water, dump it in there, and 1 cup of sugar. Hopefully I can find my damn sugar. Give me a second. Well, we're out of regular sugar, so I'm going to have to use powdered sugar, which is fine. There's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So tell me about cranberries and vodka. I've never heard of this, unless you're talking about vodka and cranberry juice, but I've never heard of eating the berries with it. That's a new one. Maybe I'll try that someday. Although AIG and hard liquor don't mix. I don't like the way it makes me feel. I don't mind a beer or some wine or something, but I really don't like hard liquor. Okay, so 1 measuring cup full of powdered sugar, or regular sugar if you got it. I don't have any though. And that's it. Package of cranberries, cup of water, cup of sugar. And unless you try this before you try your canned cranberry sauce again, I don't know. I'm going to have to throw the AIG gauntlet your way, because it's really that easy. Now, I'm going to move it away so I don't get tasty meat particles splashed in there. Put it on this other burner. Put it on, medium. And what we're going to try to do is bring this to a boil, and we'll cook it till the cranberries pop, and I'll show you that. And then that's it. That's all you have to do, like literally. And then you just let it cool down, and it's the best damn cranberry sauce in the world. You know, you don't have to add anything fancy. You don't have to add lime or oranges. You don't have to add nuts. You don't have to add any of that bullshit. And you certainly don't have to gelatinize it and package it in a can, unless you can't get fresh. But even then, I'm telling you, like, a little planning ahead and you'll never have to eat them again. If you have a freezer, you can have cranberries year-round. because they freeze really well and they keep really well. Like, we have no problems keeping cranberries for a year, and they taste just as good as if we just bought them that day. Okay, so there's that. Cranberry sauce is going. I'm going to show you a way to make Brussels sprouts that you'll actually like. Now, I love Brussels sprouts like I like cabbage. I don't know if you saw this. Look at this. Boom. See that? That's 7 kilograms of sauerkraut that we're making right now. It's getting close to done. It's still pretty sour, but I like to leave it sit a long time. Mesmerized says, the Russians here kind of flavor their vodka with cranberry juice, and it's nice. Cranberries or pomegranate, both are used. Yeah, I like, I've had that before. Vodka and cranberry juice is pretty good. It'd be neat to kind of steep it. Take some cranberry, you gave me an idea, fam. I'm going to credit you. Get a bottle of vodka and put it in a jar with a bunch of cranberries and let it sit 6 months or so. See how that turns out. Alright, I gotta go get my sprouts. I'll be right back. Alright, I've got my sprouts. Mr. Mesmerized says, I'm sure you could serve the alcohol-induced fruits to some balls of ice. Sure would fit as a dessert. Yeah, you could make a slushie with them. I think they call those Cosby slushies. I have to wash these sprouts real quick. Okay, I'm going to show you a secret way to make bacon. Well, it's not really secret, but it's my secret. Secret to me. So we have our bacon. I have tons and tons of bacon, but I don't have any thawed out right now, so this is some store-bought. I'm just going to put this on this cookie sheet here. And you saw earlier that I preheated the oven to 375. And this is why. We're going to take this bacon, we're going to put it in the oven on this cookie sheet, and when it looks done, it is done, and it turns out perfect every time. If I have the time, I almost always make my bacon this way now. There it is. Okay, now our cranberries are starting to go here. I'll give you a live action shot of the cranberries here. Here they come. Oh yeah, look at those bad boys. Wait, can you see them? Yeah, you can see them. There we are. So, boom. Look at those bad boys going. Now they're starting to pop. So what we want to do is we want these all to pop and start to soften up. And then you're basically done. They turn into like a really nice textured, tasty treat, and that juice all gets stained red. And that's the way to do cranberries, I think. Scale of 1 to 2, I'd give it a 2. Alright, so we're back up cooking. Let's see. Mesmerized says those sprouts are called Rosenkohl, and I get triggered seeing them as my grandpa forced me to eat them as a kid. Okay, I got your back, fam. When I was a real little kid, I didn't like them. They tasted strong. I guarantee you, if you try it this way, you'll like them. Now I have something to show you, since we're waiting for the bacon. This came all the way from Germany, and it smells like fuel oil. I don't know if you've ever smelled fuel oil before, but oh, I got some Wild West stories to tell you sometime. I should save them though. But when I was a kid, my dad was really into cutting and polishing rocks, and we used to go out in the desert and find gemstones and shit like this, and then bring them back and cut them up. Well, this is that smell. That's fuel oil, and I will never forget that smell, because one of the big saws that we had for like cutting huge boulders was a slow kind of saw, but it was lubricated with fuel oil, and it was like this big, huge saw thing with a little mount for your rock, and then a blade, and the bottom of the blade was bathed in fuel oil, and you would turn it on, and it would cut through the rock, you know, over the course of a couple hours or something like that. So that's what fuel oil smells like. And this is a t-shirt which I'm going to keep and wear on the live stream, but it's going to take some serious washing, I think, because it smells very strong. Good and heavy. And this is the subject of an upcoming video on the other channel. Once I get my other end of that lawnmower blade prying done, I'm going to do this, and it should be coming pretty quickly, because hopefully anyway. I've been kind of addicted to this game called 7 Days to Die. It's addicting as hell. It's worse than Minecraft. And I was horrendously addicted to Minecraft. So, let's see. So what do you suppose this is? This is probably the first time there's ever been an unwrapping of one of these ever in the history of YouTube. So I'm going to show this to you. I'm going to tell you that Mr. Mesmerized sent it from Germany, and I'm going to call it a mystery object. Mystery object. If you can guess what that is, you win a prize or something. But I will, this is going to be the subject of a video in the near future. Mystery object. Okay. And it doesn't smell too bad by itself. It's mainly the t-shirt. So let's look at the t-shirt. Body Rockin' Beats. Dude, you're a small dude. Unless that's your girlfriend's t-shirt. Let's see. Feel the music. Body Rockin' Beats. Alright, well, I think I will launder this and wear it on the screen. So, I'm going to check these cranberries here. Coming along, I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. They're almost done. Move the meatballs around here. These are done. basically done. Alright, meatballs are coming along nicely. Yeah, we're cooking Swedish meatballs today. And we're making mashed potatoes, cranberries, and some delicious Brussels sprouts. Alright, these are just about done. And I'll show you what they look like when they're done. Alright, I'm going to show you. They're done, so I'm just going to turn off the heat and show you what that looks like. There we are. Boom. Cranberries. It's that simple. Package of cranberries, cup of water, cup of sugar. No fucking canned cranberries. Not once, not ever. Anyway. There's that. Now those just cool down and we'll serve those with our Swedish meatballs because I don't have lingonberries. Let's see. I'm going to check the bacon. Not done yet. I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit. I'm a little bit impatient for some reason today. So, what do you guys want to talk about? You're 240 pounds and 190 centimeters tall, wearing XXL. Oh, so it was your neighbor's shirt, you say? Yeah, I don't know, what's 5'11", and about probably 195-ish. So we're similar size, but I wear a large. You must have a broader frame than I do or something. How tall in inches is 190 centimeters? Now see, if you don't try this, I know like okay, so Thanksgiving comes around and your family's gonna get pissed at you if you don't serve the canned cranberries in the can that you slice and stuff. I understand that. Have that for them, but also try this. Oh, you're 6'2". Yeah, we're about the same size. You shouldn't be any bigger than I am because you're 3 inches taller than me. But your shirt size is going to be bigger because you're going to have broader shoulders and probably a greater diameter from front to back in the chest, so that's why you probably wear an XXL. So, what I was getting at was, oh, cranberries. So, when it comes Thanksgiving, if your family like insists on having the kind that comes out of the can and you slice it, okay, serve them that, but also try this. Like seriously. It's so good. It's like applesauce only made with cranberries, and it's tart, and it's a little bit saucy, and it gets up in your turkey, and it's awesome. Like my kids won't even touch canned cranberries. Bacon's coming. Okay, so we got a little bit of time here. I'm going to put some eggs in the fridge. what are my favorite drinks besides beer and wine? Not just alcohol, and include cocktails if you want. Okay, well, let's see. So for alcoholic drinks, if I like old fashioned, and I got a story about the old fashioned. Let me put these eggs in the fridge here. Okay, so an old fashioned, what you do is you have bourbon, a sugar cube or two, the bitters, maraschino cherry, and an orange slice. Okay, and I learned to make this while I lived in Louisville. Now, the old fashioned was invented in Louisville at a place called the Penn Dentist Club. And it's one of these old school like social club places that's been around for forever. And as residents, we could go in there. And so you could go in there, and it was invented there by this old guy who at the time was still alive, but I never met him. But there wasn't a young bartender there, so it was obviously people that had worked with him forever. But I never met the guy that actually invented the drink. But at any rate, I've been served old-fashioned at the Penn Dentist Club, and here's how they did it. You would take 2 sugar cubes and put them in the bottom of a glass. I'll show you the glass, what your glass should look like. It look like this. This is an old-fashioned glass. If you put your 2 sugar cubes in there, you put a slice of orange and a maraschino cherry, and then you muddle it up. You crush all of that together. And you put 2 dashes of bitters. I'll see if I have some so you know what I'm talking about. I know I got some somewhere here. Alright, so here's your bitters. This is bitters. You see them in the liquor store. This one's Angostura aromatic bitters. So you put 2 dashes of this in there, and you put the whiskey in, and then some ice, and that's it. That's an old-fashioned. That's probably my favorite. I drink just about anything, although I'm not super crazy about it. I may have one. Let's see, what else do I like? I like a margarita. And for a margarita, there's a place called Frontera Grill in Chicago that I used to eat at when I lived there. And it's by a chef named Rick Bayless. And it's right next door to this other place that's called Topolobampo. And the way to tell the difference is Topolobampo has smaller plates and it's more expensive. That's it. It's the same fucking chef, same fucking everything. But they charge you an arm a leg and they give you less food. So how they do their margaritas is you have limes. So you juice a bunch of limes. And there's an exact recipe, you can look it up online, but basically you juice a bunch of limes, then you zest the lime into there, you know, add some lime zest. So you need one like a zester, and there's no better zester than these things right here. These microplane things. Have you seen these? This is how you zest a lime. Or any kind of a fruit. So you zest the lime into the lime juice, then you're going to add water, sugar, Grand Marnier or triple sec. I'm cheap, so I use the triple sec, and then tequila. I think they do a Frontera Gold, so they use Jose Cuervo Gold in there, and then you mix that up. And then you're going to need to adjust the sugar to your tastes and stuff. but I like those a lot. And then you just serve them over ice with a salted rim or whatever. Let's see, what else do I like? I'm trying to think. It's been a while since I've thought about this. Oh, I know what I like. I like these dirty martini. Dirty martini is vodka, and then some sort of a dry vermouth. Just a little bit of dry vermouth. So you take your martini glass, pretend this is a martini glass, and you put dry vermouth in there, just a little bit, splash it around to wet it down. Then you're going to pour vodka in there. Well, actually, you do this in a shaker with ice. I like mine shaken. So you have your shaker, you put the vermouth in there. Actually, I put the vermouth in the glass first, and then dump all of that into the shaker, but leave a film of vermouth. And then in the shaker you have your vermouth, you have vodka, and then I take a little bit of, so you want an olive with a pimento in there, but you put that in later, but I take a little bit of the juice from that and put it in with in the shaker. I put ice in there. I want my fucking martini cold, and then you shake that up to cool it down, and before it has time to melt it and dilute it, and you take it and you pour it into the martini glass, then you put the olive in there. Dirty martini. So those are three. I don't know. I don't really drink a lot, but those are three that I have liked a lot. And actually the way of doing that came from an Ethan Becker gathering. There's a guy there who didn't want me to tell who he was, because he's got kind of a job where he can't really be known for that. But anyway, I got that recipe at the Ethan Becker gathering. Mr. Mesmerize says, when I was in Italy, we would drink those every night on the beach. It was awesome and so fitting. So with, another drink, I was thinking, if you're in Italy, what you want to get is a Negroni. So it's Campari, which is kind of a bitter alcohol. And then I like Cinzano sweet vermouth, and then vodka. I add vodka to mine. I like to kick it up a little bit, and I do like I do less of the Campari, because otherwise it can get a little bit bitter. And then equal parts of vodka and sweet vermouth, and mix that up, and just pour it over ice into a glass like this. Negronis. So that's it. That's all I know about cocktails. Those are my favorites. So. All right. Those are coming along. Bacon's coming along. And actually, what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to take these bad boys, and I'm going to make our sauce now. So I'm going to take away a bunch of these and put them on a cookie sheet, and when I do my meatballs, I will fry them up like this, but so that they don't dry, Actually, if you ask me how to make a cocktail, the chances are I know how to make it. I just don't drink them very much. But anyway, these meatballs, so that they don't dry out so much, I just brown them a little bit. You don't have to go crazy. And then I bake them for a little bit. What am I going to do with the Rosenkohl? It's coming up. The bacon is cooking right now. I'll show you. Hold tight. And if you got to go, you can always watch back later. I won't hold it against you. So the way I do meatballs a lot of times is I'll just brown them a little bit and then bake them. And then Bake them at like 350 for like 20 minutes, and then you're sure they're cooked all the way through, and you're not frying the shit out of them, so that you end up with you know, a dry meatball. You don't want that. And then obviously you want to take and any meatball should have a sauce. So that may be another reason why you broke your tooth on one, is maybe the chef made them dry because they didn't know what they were doing. And then the other thing would be is if they, let's see, what do I want to do here? Yeah, okay, these are done. And then if you don't know that baking trick, you can really screw up meatballs. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of some of this grease. Actually, yeah, I'm going to clean this pan out real quick. Maybe I'll just, yeah, I'm gonna switch pans. I don't want to bother with this. Cranberries are good to go. Let's see. Look at those bad boys. Boom. And then you chill these off, and they're just so good, so good. All right. So I'm going to switch pans because I want a pan with a lid, and I'll have to clean that one later, but I don't want to clean it right now, so I have another pan. And it's time to make our sauce. So into this pan, let me see, light mushroom pepper sauce, like that. Bacon's coming, and I'll be able to show you what to do with your Brussels sprouts in a minute. So into that pan, I'm going to put a little bit of butter. Melt that down. And I'm going to measure out a third cup of flour, or a quarter cup of flour. Quarter cup. There we go. Quarter cup of flour. And then, let's see, I'm forgetting, oh, I know. Now we've got a measuring cup, some beef stock. I'm going to do 3 cups of the beef stock in here. There we go. And the next thing we're going to do is a half a cup of cream. Right like this. Cream, half a cup. So fill that up to half there. So there we go. That's the basis of the sauce. Now this next part, I'm going to move the camera because you probably want to see this, because I'm going to make a roux. Kind of a classic technique in cooking here. So here's our pan. Let me see if I can get this maneuvered correctly. Alright, so there we are. So we see our butter that's melted there. And I'm going to make you a roux. I'm going to turn the fan off so you can hear a little better. And let's see, if I had a roux stick, this would be better. Do I have one? Yeah, I do. Okay, so this is called a roux stick. Roux stick. And now I've got my flour. I'm going to add that in there. I'm going to have to turn up the heat just a little bit to like a medium-low. I'm just going to stir this around. And literally we're going to be cooking this until this flour and butter mixture turns brown. And you can go darker or you can go lighter. And what this basically does is it takes some of the flour taste out of there, and it'll add a little bit of a nutty flavor to your gravy. So this will let cook a little bit here. So we want that to brown up, and you don't have to have a roux stick. You can make it with a whisk or whatever. And actually, I'll be switching to a whisk a little bit later here. But that's how I start a roux. And let's see, how's my bacon coming? Bacon is done. Okay, bacon's got to come out of there. And I'll show you the Brussels sprouts. So there's our bacon, nice and cooked. Boom, perfect. Stayed flat, just like I like it. Stir this up a little bit. You see how it's kind of browning in a few little spots? So we'll just keep stirring this around. You don't want to burn it, you just want to brown it. And for the bacon, take this, take these, off of there, there we go. Okay. Oops, that's getting a little warm. So we'll give it a good stir here. Turn down the heat maybe a little bit. But you see how that flour is browning there. And I'm going to show you the Brussels sprout trick real quick. We're not ready yet with this. It's got to cook a little longer. Turn the vent back on so we don't smoke our house up. Okay, I'm going to move the camera over here. I'm going to show you how to make the Brussels sprouts. So there's our pan that we cooked the bacon in, right? There's no bacon on it anymore, but there are little bits in there. Alright, here you go. Ready? Here's the secret. Boom. Boom. Okay. So these are gonna be roasted in the oven at 350, uncovered until they're soft. It probably takes like 20 minutes or something like that. And every once in a while you just give them a little stir like this. And the other thing I do is I add in a little bit of garlic salt and a little bit of fresh ground black pepper. Let me get the garlic salt. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. Now we'll put a little garlic salt on there. Just a little, don't kill it. Right? And we'll pepper them. Don't have to kill it. And like I said, those will roast in the oven until they're done, and at the end we'll crumble the bacon over and then sprinkle, you can shave some fresh Parmesan cheese over the top. And if you don't like those Brussels sprouts, I don't know if you're ever gonna like Brussels sprouts, because those are pretty good. Okay, let's check on our roux again. And the roux looks basically done. It's about like I want it to be. So I've browned the flour enough, and now this is when you're making a gravy. Gravies are tricky. There's this guy cooking in Russia that makes a fucking fantastic gravy, and I've made his recipe before, and it's just great. But this is my kind of easy recipe to Swedish meatball gravy. So I add in a little bit of flour, and you can make the trick to non-lumpy gravy is exactly what I'm doing here. So you add a little bit of your liquid to your flour, and you're forming a paste there, like so. Then we'll add a little bit more, and we stir this up using a whisk until it's a paste again. Like so. Right. It's Elliot Offen from the Howard Stern show. That guy, the way he says that just kills me. So we'll add a little more. Adding in a little bit more and a little bit more. The idea being that you don't add more liquid until this liquid has formed a good paste with your stuff, and you'll never have lumpy gravy again, I guarantee it. I was eating over at Noka's for Thanksgiving, and they're like, well, we bought canned gravy, and I'm like, no you didn't. And they're like, well, can you make gravy without lumps in it? And I'm like, yes. So once you get to this stage where it's pretty much liquid, you can add the rest of your liquid in. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to bring that to a simmer, and it's going to thicken and form your meatball sauce. You want to taste it. You can add salt if you need to, but I would wait till the end because there's some salt in the meatballs. So now I'm going to add in my meatballs, and they're gonna kind of cook in this sauce, and I'm gonna cook them covered over low heat. This dish works good in like once you're at this point, you can put it in like one of those chafing dishes and let it cook that way. You can put it, I've seen these done in a crock pot. That's another way to do it. But at this point, if I just went to town here and heated this up, these would be ready to eat in like 20 minutes. But I'm gonna kind of simmer these a bit and make sure that they end up the way we want them. All right, let's see. Honestly, that's pretty much what I wanted to show you today. So we made my world famous top secret mashed potatoes. I convinced you, I'm sure, that I know I convinced you that you should never eat canned cranberries. You should only eat real cranberries. Let's see, famous mashed potatoes. I showed you how to make Brussels sprouts that if you don't love it, I will eat this hat live. Now we have Swedish meatballs. I'm trying to think. I think that's it. Any last minute questions? I'm going to sign off otherwise. It's been fun cooking. We're almost an hour and a half. We made a bunch of food, had some good chats, hot chats. Anything else? Going once. Going twice. Bye.